Well, in this video, this Moron Reviews, we're going to do the tragedy of the Templars, the rise and fall of the crusader states. Now, I purchased this book a couple of weeks ago. It's a quick read. Well, it's a thick book, but for me it was a quick read. For you too, because I'm a moron. But it's a very quick read. It's a very interesting book. It talks about the Templars before he tells you, of course, starts with how the Templars were formed. He lets you know about the Muslim Jihad, which most people are ignorant of. How they were attacking the Byzantine Empire, Portugal, Spain, trying to get into Europe. You had those jihadists, and they were pretty freaking nasty to the people they conquered, cutting off their heads, raping and enslaving the women and girls, killing all the boys and men, sometimes, and of course, raping the men too. Destroying their churches, destroying all their valuables, destroying everything. Anyone who was left alive had to pay a tax and were treated like true oppression. Not like the nonsense people claim they are suffering through today. Not that nonsense. Real oppression. So, of course, they have the First Crusade to help protect their interests, Christian interests in the Middle East, and regain a lot of the land they lost. That was the purpose of it. And of course, being based on religion, you can kind of imagine, how religion is, right? They decided, hey, the Jews may have helped the Muslim jihadists destroy some of our churches, so let's oppress them. And of course, they started becoming oppressive towards the Jews. It didn't matter that the Muslims were slaughtering Jews as well as Christians. So obviously, the Jews were not helping the Muslims. And of course, eventually the Templars are formed. Their job was to defend the pilgrims, of course, traveling through the Holy Land. Because, as I've read in this book, and other books I've mentioned to you in other videos, the Muslims would harass, kill, rape, or enslave anybody passing through. And then, of course, you had bandits, so the Templars had to defend them. And of course, we all know how nasty religion is, how Islam is. Christianity not much better. Well, no, I'm sorry. Christianity is far better. If you read the history, you'll see Christianity is far better. Christians treated the people they conquered far better than the Muslims did. The Muslims were still allowed to worship as they chose. Christians were not allowed to go to their churches, have certain sermons. They had to wear certain clothes that identify that these are Christians. Jews had to wear basically the Star of David or something to identify them as Jews. Their churches were ransacked, But when the Christians took Jerusalem, for example, you had the Dome of the Rock, which we all know about. The Christians could have destroyed that. Just like the Muslims destroyed some of their holy relics. The tomb where this Jesus character supposedly was buried and all that stuff. They could have destroyed the Dome of the Rock. They did not, however, do that. They allowed, if you wanted to convert to Islam, convert to Islam. If you want to convert to Christianity, do it. Muslims, however, killed you for it. Not if you could convert to Islam, but Christianity. And of course you have Second Crusade, Third Crusade, Fourth Crusade. After a while, as you can imagine, it gets out of hand. The Crusades get out of hand. They start fighting amongst each other. The Muslims doing it even far worse, slaughtering, than the Crusaders were. But eventually the Crusaders, gets all money. And you find that the Templars were getting screwed. After the Muslims finally, removed the Crusaders out of the Holy Land, there was no point for the Templars anymore. Because how are you going to defend the pilgrims when the pilgrims can't even go there anymore? And that's not safe, right? So eventually the King of France at the time, in the early 14th century, 1300s, needed some money for his wars and all this stuff. Turned on the Templars. This is basically no good deed goes unpunished. And of course the assassins actually did exist. You should read about them. It's in this book. It's mentioned. One second, I want to show you something. Let's just say that these games that are based on the Templars and the assassins are not accurate. Of course, we all know that. But still, these are good games. I like Assassin's Creed games. But anyways, again. And of course, I'm going to explain what today, we're saying today. Back then, they saw the Muslim threat, Islam. the threat that it was. And of course, one of the things that they complained about 1,000 years ago, the Muslims, is that the Franks, anyone who's from Europe, they call them Franks, the Franks, is that the Franks dare allow their women to speak, have opinions, and of course speak to other men. As you know, if a man was with his wife is speaking to another man. If his wife took too long, the man would walk away and talk to someone else. The Muslims didn't like that. But you got people today that defend Islam. How can you defend any religion, especially Islam? Islam is the most violent, vile religion. Read the Quran. You kill people that don't agree with you. You try to convert them, you tax them, or you just kill them. Look at their views on women. And that's why it gets me. Feminists and the LGBT community defends them. They're the first people that the Muslims will turn on. And I'm talking about the jihad. I'm not talking about every single Muslim. Majority of Muslims, like majority of Christians, majority of atheists, majority of whites, blacks, Hispanics, or whatever, are decent people. You always get that few in the group. Unfortunately, that few in the group can make a lot of noise and cause a lot of damage. And religion is easy to get people riled up. And we got these stupid wars in the Middle East, and you got these idiots, well, turn Ferrari into glass, let's just bomb the hell out of them. Yeah, that's how you get more jihadists. But you hear these religious people always talking about they're oppressed. And it's amazing. This is a little thing I heard, a proverb I once heard. I think it's a Russian proverb. It may or may not be. But basically, hard times breed hard men. Well, strong men. Hard times breed strong men. Strong men bring good times. Good times breed weak men. Weak men bring bad times. And that's what you're getting. I mean, you see a lot of these countries in Europe and Canada, they're so relaxed now because, they basically have thrown off the oak of religion. They say, hey, religion is bullcrap. It's caused way too much problems. And they have, let's face facts. Most of Europe at this point in time it's still better to live than the United States. I'm going to say that. I know a lot of people are going to get pissed off with me for saying that, but if I had the money, I still would not move to Europe because its future is bleak. Well, I'm over-exaggerating, but the Muslims are going to cause a lot of problems in Europe, especially those jihadists. I personally don't believe they're going to take over all Europe, but they will probably take over a few cities and do a lot of damage. I don't have any solutions. The only solution I can give you is education. You don't just blindly just let people in your country. I know a lot of people want to do that. The perfect world, that would be nice. You just let people, should be able to move to any country they choose. In the perfect world, I agree with that. But you can't really do that in this world. Because most of the people that are coming in are not really going to be the people you want in. If you're not watching, you got to vet them. You got to watch them, make sure, not all of them come in are bad, but, a lot of people try to sneak in. A lot of people you don't want to. The people that are decent, that you do want, they're going to come in legally. The people that you don't want are going to try to sneak in. That's what I should have said, and that's what I meant. But again, this is a very, very good book. I highly recommend this book. It's The Tragedy of the Templars, The Rise and Fall of the Crusader States by Michael Haag. H-A-A-G. There's another little saying too. Let's see if I can remember it. I'm so simple-minded, I can't always remember everything. The one that I already told you, that's a good one, but darn it, I can't even remember it. See, this is a problem. Hey, at least I caught that right. Be careful with these celebrities too. All these celebrities and these politicians. They remember this about them, okay? They don't live in the real world. Well, their real world. They have their own real world. But anyways, they have guards. They live in nice communities. They're well protected. That's why they can say whatever nonsense they want. Same with these college and university professors. They say all this nonsense because look where they live. Look how much money they have and where they live. They don't have to live around the rest of the people that they're forcing their crap on. Education is probably the best weapon against religion. All religions. But let's face it, Islam is by far the worst and the most dangerous religion. All I'm going to add, though, quickly, don't mean to be offensive or anything like that, but I do hope that the people today, they lack the balls of their forefathers. Hopefully they get them back. That's all I can say. Please get them back. Bye.